Welcome to Down Under Network. This is round 3 of the Victorian 40k Masters. This is being held at House of War in Ringwood, Victoria, and the tournament organiser is Dean Sinny Sinbeck, the Victorian ATC team captain, and infamous from the Facebook page blog for the Blood God. So we are in round 3. So at this point, I might bring up the leaderboard. Let's go check that out. So with 2 games coming in first at the moment is Rob Lane, with Mark Deal coming in second. Third place, we see Adam Camilleri, who's dropped 2 points so far, and Jason Brown, who has dropped 7 points so far. Jeremy Martino and Matt Morrisoli are also undefeated. So big shout out to Art of War Australia, who have 3 players in the top 6 who are undefeated. 2 of them are currently playing each other. Jeremy Martino versus Matt Morrisoli, so their undefeated winning streak is going to go down, but c'est la vie. So we did see Mark Deal on stream just last round, so we've jumped on over then to the second top table, where we are watching Adam Camilleri versus Jason Brown. So they've started deploying. It looks like anyway. Let's bring that back up. We'll go over some of their lists while they're doing their thing. So we'll start with Adam, who is playing a Astra Militarum list. Bring that up. So he's got a Talon Battalion of the Emperor's Fist with a Punisher tank commander and a Relic battle cannon tank commander with the Old Grudges Warlord trait, and your stock standard 30-man infantry squad, Astropath, Ministorum Priest, and 8 Bulgarins. He's then got a Militarum Tempestus Battalion with the Aradia Medallion. I'll have to chase him up on what the hell that is. And Tempesta Prime with 10, 10, and 5 Scions. He's then taken a Dark Angels Battalion with the Ravenwing Attack Squadron. So some Samael, a Talon Master, 2 units of Infiltrators, and a unit of Scouts. Heading on over to Jason Brown, who's running an Adeptus Custodes list. We see a battalion of Adeptus Custodes with Captain General Trajan Valoris and a shield captain in Allurus Terminator armor, who's got the Warlord trait of Eagle's Eye. He's then got 3 Custodian Guard 3-man squads, which are rinse and repeat, so Storm Shield and 2 Spears. He's then got a Vanguard of Adeptus Custodes with a Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike, Allurus Custodians, so 3 of those bad boys with the axes. Then he has 3 Custodian Wardens, also with the axes, and he has the Vexilla Magnifica, Vexillus Praetor, with the Palace Gravitac times 2 and the Telemann Heavy Dreadnought. With the dual storm cannons and the bolt launcher. We'll take a look at their profiles. So Adam here on his stats profile has a win streak of 5. So he's currently on 5 straight wins, with his largest win streak 11 straight. He's currently on a 77% win ratio. And has tabled 24 opponents. His recent podiums consist of Men's Masquerade just a little while ago, where he came 3rd, the Triumph at Moab, where he came 2nd, and the Eightfold Path 2019, event, he came third. And if we check out Jason Brown, so we have a little less results on Jason, but Jason is currently on a 4-game win streak, with his largest being 5 and a win ratio of 69%. He's won 3 games by tabling and also plays a little bit of Age of Sigmar, as it turns out, where he has a better win ratio. And from a faction standpoint, he has played 26 games of Custodes with a 69% win rate. Okay, so if we take a look at the predictor that's available to the Down Under Pairing subscribers, we can see that on a pure win-loss ratio of the players, Adam does have an advantage. Head-to-head with Guard versus Custodes, it's a 50-50 split. And overall, the faction win rates are actually pretty close to each other. So Adam has a slight advantage going in based on the raw numbers. But numbers mean nothing, man. So let's go back to the table. So it looks like Adam has deployed in a bit of a castle. So he's got the land speeders. The land speeders are the corded, I believe is the correct terminology, orange and blue speeders there. The Bullgren are probably doing their thing, like a chicken wing. They're lined there, and of course we've got the 2 Lehman Russ. With the Custodes, look, it's going to be a bit of a tough match. I feel. I think list-wise, Adam's list has a fair bit of an advantage. It can go toe-to-toe from a combat standpoint, but also has a lot more output or damage output from a shooting standpoint. So I feel as though because he can play in two key phases of the event, of the missions, we're going to be in a position where Adam should be able to take the lead. So I'm just going to grab one of the score sheets, or should I say mission sheets. So there's a slightly different format here at the Victorian Masters. They're using the 40k draft style mission or mission format, as well as an ETC kind of style scoring mechanism. So it sounds a little complicated, but it really isn't once you actually get into it. So, like ETC, there's 3 missions that you're playing at the same time. There's a kill point mission, a Maelstrom of War mission, and an Eternal War mission. So you keep track of those points. The slight variance in how Vic Masters are doing it versus ETC is each of those components are doing a victory point difference with a cap. So for those that know the ETC format with kill points, the way kill points is normally done at ETC, you add up both your players' kill points. The person with the most number of kill points gets the victory points equal to that less their opponent. So if I was to get 10 victory points and my opponent was to get 5, then effectively I'd say 10 minus 5, I get 5, my opponent gets 0. And they cap that at 6 at the ETC. At Vic Masters, it has been capped at 9, and the same calculation, if you will, is used for each of the mission types. So Eternal War and Maelstrom, you work out the difference. The person with the greater number gets that many points, capped at 9. So someone might do really well at Maelstrom and get 20-odd Maelstrom points to 2. It doesn't matter. They still only get 9 points. So there's 3 deployments. So the way the draft format works, this is where the additional complexity comes into it. You might see on this sheet, there's a number of crosses. So these are laminated sheets. and there's whiteboard markers on each of the tables. There's 3 deployments. One is Dawn of War, the other is Hammer and Anvil, and the other one is Spearhead Assault. Then there's 3 Maelstrom of War missions: Strategic Gamble, Decapitating Strike, and Spoils of War. And Eternal War, the Secure and Control, Beachhead, and Capture the Data. Basically what happens is you roll off. The first person that rolled off must cross off 1 deployment option. Okay, so basically you come in and you go, well, I don't want to play Hammer and Anvil. Cross that off. Then the next person must cross off 1 Maelstrom of War. The next one gets to cross off 1 Eternal War. The next one, a deployment, next one Maelstrom, next one Eternal. So basically, if there is a mission format that you really don't want to, or a mission type, I should say, that you don't want to play, then when you get your turn to crossing one off, you get to cross it off. In theory, what this means is you should get to a position where the absurdly bad mission for your army you can avoid. But keeping in mind, so can your opponent. So if you are really good in one mission type, then like maybe you're really good in progressive scoring. One of the Eternal Wars is progressive. You should anticipate that your opponent is going to cross that one off. So that is the general concept. So what I'm going to ask my lovely assistant is whether or not there should be a laminated sheet on their table. Can you pinch it? Oh, grazie. Okay. So they've crossed off. What's left? They're playing Dawn of War. They're playing Strategic Gamble. So if at the start of a player's turn they have fewer than 3 tactical cards, they must generate up to 3. At the start of each player's turn, after they've generated new tactical objective cards, that player can choose to discard 2 of their tactical objective cards to generate a new one. If that player is able to achieve the newly generated card, they score double the victory points for that tactical objective. I'll tell you how Matt Morrisoli scored 10 points shortly. The Eternal War they're playing is Beachhead. So starting from the second battle round, each player scores a number of victory points for each objective marker they control at the start of their turn. And the player scores 1 VP if they control the objective marker in their own deployment zone, 2 if they control the objective in the center of the battlefield, and 3 if they control the objective marker in their opponent's deployment zone. Thank you very much, Chelsea. So the general gist there, as I said before, if you didn't like a certain mission type, then you can discard it, effectively. So we're going to have... I feel as though Adam probably likes the idea of progressive scoring against Custodes. He's got a bit more throwaway units to deal with that, so we will see how it goes. Oh, it looks like we've already started. So let's get underway. So Adam's just pushed forward with the Bulgrim unit, trying to push that screen up, and moving up with those character land speeders. So Samael and the Talon Master. I think we're going to see a pretty aggressive first turn from Adam. It's a bold move, Carton. Will it pay off? And once again, for those that have been with us for the first 2 streams, a big shout out and thank you to our patrons for Down Under Network. Thanks to the support of you guys, we've been able to purchase a whole bunch of new gear to improve the audio quality. Hopefully that's come across a lot clearer today than historically, so hopefully you guys are enjoying that. And once again, we just want to say a big thank you. You'll get used to those buttons. So part of the new gear included a brand new mixer. The other game that we're going to be keeping a close eye on as the round continues is on table 3. Matt Morrisoli Matt the Plaguehawk Morrisoli versus Jeremy Marigold Martino. So both of those players are 2019 Australian ETC players, and they are both on the Australian ETC 2020 team. Adam, that you're watching on stream right now, who's playing the Astra Militarum and Dark Angels, is from the Down Under Network. He's from the Art of War Team Australia. He's from Giant Squid Gaming, and probably a million other things. He is also on the Australian ETC team for his 3rd year in a row. He played in 2018, 2019, and he'll be playing in 2020.
What a beast.
And we are joined by the also sultry tones of Mr. Josh McGowan. Welcome, Josh McGowan. Say hi to your adoring fans.
Press all the right buttons. How we doing, guys? How we doing this lovely afternoon? In Queensland, it's bloody hot. I don't know what it's like down there for you guys.
It's pretty grey. It's not overly... no, it's not hot here. I think it's a top of like 14 today. Degrees Celsius, that is, for those on the other side of the world using weird systems. But anyway, I digress. Yes, so we've got into turn 1, and so for those who've just joined us, including Mr. McGowan, we do have Adam Camilleri at the top of the table, with Jason with his Adeptus Custodes at the bottom of the table. Adam has got first turn, and he's unloading his Lehman Russ tanks and Talonmaster / Samael into those Custodes in the bottom right-hand or bottom corner. Let's just draw. Mania. We were hoping to have Rob Lane with his Necrons on the stream table. We do have a rule here at Down Under Network that we try to avoid breaking. We don't have the same person on the stream in a given day. So Rob is playing against Mark Deal, who we just had on stream. I did really want to see Rob's Crons. Crons don't get top table streaming very regularly. So it would have been exciting to have him up there. But hopefully he, not because I have anything against Mark, but just because I want Rob on the stream, hopefully Rob's able to get up and I can get him on the stream tomorrow in round 4 or 5. So what's...
So I think Adam might have popped his old grudges. He seems
possibly.
to be re-rolling his wounds.
I think in the first turn it seems like a fairly safe bet. I'd probably look at.
Well, it goes back to our last discussion with our Genesteal player. Was it Mark?
Yep.
Yeah, Mike and Mark. Yeah, so Mark, it's like you're talking about. If you fail to activate a unit or it fails in some degree, it's a big chunk of points in your army that's essentially flopped.
Yeah.
So likewise, when you kill one with Custodes, you're taking a unit's worth 25% of the army and stuff like that.
100%. Yeah, you go.
I was just saying, Mystic Vale, yes, up here in Queensland, we're sitting at 38 degrees, so we're not like Melbourne. So, yeah. Hot.
I made a comment a little earlier about a concept that's used in some of the more competitive games, not just 40k, but in general, and that is the concept of tempo. So just one of the things you get with a list like a Custodes list is they do have the ability of gaining tempo real quick if you let them. So basically the way that concept worked is usually as you put out damage and remove models of your opponent, they then obviously have less damage they had before to deal with yours. Some people kind of look at it as an alpha strike kind of concept, but usually when you alpha strike, someone then deletes your units back. So you're not gaining tempo. But Custodes have a great way of, as they start to kill things, they don't die very easily in return, so they tend to gain that tempo or that momentum throughout the game. But then on the flip side, because they're a more elite style list, they can, it's not necessarily a negative tempo, but they can go down real quick because you lose a unit or two early on, and suddenly your damage output is like halved. And so you end up being in a situation where your opponent is just being able to put more and more of their resources into a dwindling army, and you just don't have the same response. So I think going first against a list like Custodes is handy, because obviously if you can bear down your firepower quite early and take out one or two of their units in the first turn, then then you've taken out a fair chunk of their army, compared to the more MSU style list, which is like what Adam's got to a point. Like if you take out a unit of guardsmen, it doesn't really affect his damage output, so you're not gaining any real tempo there. There you go, there's a little tutorial on some technical lingo. And this episode is brought to you by Canadian Club. It's not really, but I do like it. Unrivaled smoothness, apparently. It is pretty smooth. Are you a CC and Dry fan, Mr. McGowan?
I am. I don't drink that much anymore, but I go for pretty much anything dry.
Yep. All right. Well, I might take, I might leg it and do a bit of a walk around.
So did you go through the lists?
We did go through the lists, yes.
Cool.
Yeah. But if you are ever unsure of the lists, some of the cool things you can do in the chat, it's not just me, you can do it yourself. If you type in the command lists, so ! lists, it will then give you a link to the stream on Down Under Pairings, where it will give you the lists and links to their profile.
All right, so fairly cool. What do we think, Chad?
I think Adam's list probably. I don't know how the Custode player can engage. The Bulgrins will. I think they're just going to be too hard to budge. But on the flip side, he can't really compete as well from range. So yeah, I feel as though Adam can compete in both the assault and shooting phase. Whereas I feel as though the Custodes can only really compete. It's not 100% accurate. I mean, you can still do some shooting, but I just don't see it. How about yourself? What do you think?
I think it's even match. It comes down to what the Dornagles and the tanks does. If he uses the tanks more of a touching than a fireplace face, he might have a chance, but he's definitely got to answer those tanks. Because those speeders, they're not just any speeders, they're obviously the Talon and Samuel. So they actually go quite well. Not sure if Adam's upgraded his relics.
Not sure. But also for those that are unfamiliar of the two Forge World units that are on the list, the Palace Grav Attack, so it's the two Grav kind of speeders in the Custode side of the table. It's pretty quick, 16-inch movement, 8 wounds, 3+ save. It has a 5+ invuln. It doesn't suffer the movement the movement penalties when firing heavy weapons. It has the Grav Attack Backlash, so subtract 2 from charging it. And it has a twin thickness blaze cannon, which can have 1 or 2 profiles. Can either go heavy 2 or heavy 6. The heavy 2 is more vehicle killer. The heavy 6 is 24-inch string 5 AP -2 1. The Telemann Dreadnought has the same gun, or technically has 2 of them, and has a 4-up invuln, and can shoot some of its guns twice in. So those are the 2 units that are a little bit different, I guess, than what some might be familiar with. Also, the big Dreadnought is currently in. Pretty sure that one has some kind of stratagem which lets it outflank or deep strike. So if I just walk over to the Necron table, so the Necrons are playing against Mark Deal. I believe Rob might be a little bit more familiar with some of the GSC rules. He's doing a real good job of blocking. On table 3, we have Mr. Matt Playcold Morrisoli versus Jeremy Marigold Martinez. All right, so Soli wants to be called Khan the Betrayer from now on. But we'll see. See how we go. It looks like it's fairly early on in the game. On table 4, we've got Lee Abbey with his Gene Stealer Gold, playing against Terrence with the Iron Hand. Went down. Lee's on 1 win, 1 loss. The loss was to Matt Morrisoli. Terrence is on 1 win, 1 loss. The loss is was to Jeremy. All right. We'll head on back and have another at the stream table, which has additional cameras on it, which you can see going on. So the store here has been great to us over the years. Good friend of ours, Alan, does a whole bunch of social media video type stuff. Channel. Please check the Facebook page to check out what they're putting out there as well. We'll come on back there.
All right. Did Rob bring great shame upon the family? Which Rob? Are you talking about Rob Lane? Rob's on 2 wins. He's on 40 points. He hasn't dropped a battle point, so I would say he has definitely not brought shame to the family.
Sorry about that.
You're all right, brother.
I dropped my printer off my computer and knocked my power cable out of the back of my computer.
Ouch. I was walking around looking at some of the tables, and I heard the doo-dum, which generally means someone's dropped out of the Discord channel. So I'm like, uh-oh. Wasn't he supposed to be on the top table then, or did he pull someone that's already played? Yeah, so Hamilton, he's playing against Mark Deal, who we just had on the stream. So once again, we try and make sure we don't have the same person on 2 times in a row. Actually, 2 times in the same day. I'm just going to head over to Facebook for a second and check out a post that we were discussing in a little bit of detail. Let me just bring that post. Oh, nowhere near enough comments. Bear with me 1 second. So we were having a debate in the previous stream on Khan the Betrayer, if he was an infamous movie character, who would it most closely resemble. So far, we've got Spartacus is another option, but the end result we went with from NZ40 Cabal was... I'm going to close that for a second. It was the dude from Highlander we went with, wasn't it? McGowan?
Yeah.
What's his name?
I can't remember his name.
Highlander bad guy. The Kurgan. For those who are unfamiliar with the Highlander movies, this is the Kurgan. He took out many a skulls, and we feel as though that is the most appropriate for Khan the Betrayer.
Matt's alter ego.
No. So Chelsea, who is Matt's better half, just asked the question if that's Matt Morrisoli's alter ego. No, it's if Khan the Betrayer was an 80s or 90s movie character, who would it be?
That makes more sense.
I'm glad. I don't know if it makes that much sense.
Stuff that Halloween next year.
Yeah. Carl is a new lad who has moved over to Australia from New Zealand. Saw him in one of the breaks, had a good chat with him. He seems like a reasonably nice guy. He happens to know Bartosz and Hayden Korak from NZ40 Cabal. And I sent Bartosz a message and saying hi, as an Australian mate would. So Carl, what was he saying? Give Carl a horse pierce. Give Carl horse pierce a firm slap on the ass for me. Okay. I probably won't. But I'll get back to you there. All right. So back to the stream table. There's not a huge amount went happened in the first round. Both of the speeder-like things are still alive, and most of the custodes.
Well, the characters.
The speeders.
No,
sorry, no, the custode ones.
Oh, sorry, man.
No, that's okay. I'm like, man, I know Forge World custode stuff's broken, but
So the one on the bottom right took probably about half damage going off the dice rolls, and then he picked up grounded. 3 men, I think, deleted like 6 dudes off that objective.
He's still got some termies, I believe, that were in Deep Strike, which I think are the ones that drop down over on the left-hand side on objective 2. And he's got the Talon, Talon. There's a Dreadnought. There's a fancy Dreadnought with some pretty cool guns who has a Deep Strike or Outflank style ability. Or maybe that's just a strat that I'm thinking of. But anyway, he's currently off the table.
For the shield captain, I'm guessing it'd have a 3-up invulnerable.
That's a very good question. So the shield captain, the Dawn Eagle variety.
Yeah, the one that he's put the 2 Dark Angel characters in the tank commander pointing at.
Does it come stock standard? Does it come standard with?
No, it'll be like a relic.
Nah. Well, he might if he's got it. It's not on his list. I'll. You know what? I might head over and just get them to confirm what relics they got. And I'll be right back.
So this would be the plasma scions coming in.
Yeah, so we've got the, I'm assuming, plasma
So
dude.
he's got 2 10-mans with 4.
Yep.
I think a 5-man with grenade launchers. So those Custo tanks have fly, so it's either kill or do nothing.
So it was just first turn, there was just a couple of wounds done, no actual casualties. Oh, he's actually dead. Oh, all right. Apologies. I thought that was using one of the strats to just like outflank. But okay. So that Dreadnought, which I said wasn't on the table because he was in tactical reserves. No, he was previously on the table. He died. Okay. Yeah. Ouch. Was it the relic battle cannon that got the job done, or? Yeah. Yeah. So the relic battle cannon took him down to 2 wounds, and then he just peppered the last 2 wounds off with the rest of his army. But that's harsh. That's harsh. Because that guy's hard to budge. He's got a 2-up armor save. He's got a 4-up invuln, toughness 8, 14 wounds, and he was -1 to hit from the magnificent banner.
So was it Demolisher got him?
The relic battle cannon. The relic battle cannon did 12 wounds. And then the last 2 were just done by staff, like, you know, the leftover little stuff. I think he said it may have been a hunter killer or something. Trial or something for the last couple. But yeah, the ultimate said relic battle cannon. It's so swingy. Man, I hate guns that are just so swingy like that.
Yeah.
But hey, that's how the cookie crumbles. So currently shooting the guns at the Palace grab tank. Seven wounds, -3 damage each. So each of those 3-man squads, the tank, yeah, unfortunately, that one of the 10-man plasma units just went and demolished with 3-man custode unit. He took the 2 saves on the Storm Shield, both failed. and then the next 4 saves all failed. He hasn't passed. He passed 1 3-up invuln and none of the other invulns. Been pretty brilliant.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Sometimes they can be the anvil, and then other times if it only takes a few bad rolls to really.
Yep.
There's expected casualties, but then when you get things for cheap, and you're just like, come on.
Kyle's guard tank made 0 5 plus invuln. All right. And did the exact number he needed, pretty much? 8. So it's 8 wounds. He just did 8 saves, I should say. 8 wounds, each 2 damage. I'll get my words out eventually. And didn't pass a single 5-up him. And dropped him. Now, in theory, he probably should have dropped him anyway with that. But it's like rubbing salt in the wound. When you go, all right, cool. But I also should have made 1 save. Come on. 3 up to make. You failed 4 of them. I'm assuming those skulls are 1s. So I'm not sure if you can see that on the stream, guys. But he rolled 5 dice and 4 of them were 1s. I'm gonna walk away from the table. That is unfortunate. That is really unfortunate. I'm gonna head over to a different game. So I'm over here at Jeremy Marigold Martino. Again, Matt Playcock goalie. And Bloodletter Bomb, who's about to charge. No? From failure charge? Intercepted, sorry. Yep. Yeah, so Soul is just dropped with a Bloodletter Bomb near a unit of Deathwatch. And dropped with out near a unit of Deathwatch, and they effectively intercepted and killed 7.
Breaking up a fair bit, Death, man.
Apologies. It's probably surrounded by quite a lot of noise. I might just come back to the table.
So I was just over at Matt Morrisoli and Jeremy Martino's game, and Soli just deep struck with a big unit, a big Bloodletter Bomb, and Martino intercepted with his Deathwatch and took out 7 of the Bloodletters, so put a hefty dint in that unit.
Which brings it below its 20-man threshold regardless.
Exactly. Yeah, well, 1 does that because the 20-man squads. But yes. Which pretty much happens just in Overwatch, really. Unless you can charge from behind a wall. What I'm going to do is I want to show you another way you zone out against the Genestealer cult list. So this is how... Hopefully you guys can see it. It's not as big as I was hoping. Anyway, basically the lanes or the zones that Rob's used to zone out those Genestealer cult drops against Mark is kind of as we were saying in the wrap up of the last round. You have the lines or the gaps between each unit. Need to basically be 6 inches rather than the usual 18 that you would think. As for those that are used to playing against deep strikey type of armies, if you have screens and you have an 18-inch gap between them, then obviously you can't drop in that gap because you'd be within 9 inches of at least one of those units. But against Genestealer Cult, they've got the lying in wait strat, which lets you drop within or just outside of 3 inches. So yes, you have to have a 6-inch gap between the units. Technically, you can probably get away with a 7-inch gap, but I find bank on 6, because then you won't have that situation where you go, actually, I can place the model right here, and you were slightly out because of the angles. The amount of times people think that they've zoned something out and they haven't, don't get caught out. Or also,
If dice continues.
Sorry? The dice continue?
Sorry, man.
Is that what you said? Mr. McGowan?
Yeah, sorry, just a child coming.
Oh, okay, sorry. So the other
so base sizes are a big thing as well. Like, you know, so if you're needing to get between objectives and stuff like that, you can find out, you go, oh, you're on 32 mil bases or, 40 mil bases, so on and so forth. And you can, but the biggest thing is just like, don't leave anywhere for a base to fit in there, because hand flamer have a very good habit of just going in a single line.
Yeah. The other thing is,
it's not even like.
The other thing is, if you know, I mean, the base size is key. But if you know that you're going to have potential issues, or it's a bit iffy, and you really have to kind of stretch it, intent is key. Say to your opponent, "This is what I'm trying to achieve. Do you agree that I've achieved it?" And then, because what you can then, depending on your opponent will either say, "Yes, I agree," and as a result, you don't have to spend the next half an hour making sure you're perfectly doing it, when if you know that you could have done it. So that's the thing. If you could have done it from the first place, then let's save some time for all involved, is my theory.
Alright, so it seems like combat-wise, the shield captain went down, obviously shooting. Those speeders fire 18 neg 1 fisting shots each, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s.
Yeah, he took 5
and
saves.
Rerolling their 2s.
He took 5 saves before and rolled 4 ones.
So going in with power weapons and whatnot is always going to be handy. Interesting note on those speeders is they've actually got a really cool strat that they can go in, swing, the opponent swings back. So they actually move after their...
it's the... they can go in, they can punch, and then they effectively get a fallback move as their pile-in. So they can fall back
prior to
combat.
piling.
Well, yeah.
So they can move, and then they still get to pile in.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought it was instead of, but anyway. I stand corrected. Well, technically I'm sitting corrected, but...
If that's wrong, I'm blaming Adam, because that's what he's telling me. It's in the visual attachment.
Yeah.
It's a 2 CP strat, I think.
Yeah. Look, it doesn't surprise me. As I said, it looks like I said I stand corrected. I am sitting. So there's my joke counter. I am loving these buttons on this new Rodecaster Pro that we got yesterday. So if you haven't heard me play around with the sound effects as yet, you'll get some love. So basically, this was brought to you, or this was brought to us, I guess I'd say, thanks to our patrons at the Down Under Network patron page. So part of that, or all of that income, pretty much, or revenue, goes straight back into producing better and better quality content. Yesterday was the purchase of some new mics, headwear, the Rodecaster Pro mixer. So that comes with a whole bunch of sound effects. So big thank you to the Down Under Network patrons. It has a bunch of... they've got a fancy name for it, but they're just an effect. It's an effect pad. So which, if I make a good joke, and if I make a bad joke... there's some other cool stuff. So if I just want to do some laughter, and just some background music, which I haven't used all of them yet. And there's a whole bunch of cool stuff I can add to it. This was just literally took it out of the box, plugged it in. It worked perfectly first time, which is what you want, really.
So just confirming, there's nothing in Deep Strike for the Custo players. So we're literally looking down at a 3-man on the objective on the right, a couple of characters, another 3-man in the center.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So the Tempestus Scions took out a 3-man and one of the Palace Grav tanks. First turn he took out
2 and 5.
Near 2 and 5. So that left-hand flank has just gone. The mid-table appears to be pretty much all that's left, and he is bringing a unit in. So he obviously had something in reserves. My guess is it's the Allurus Terminators. They're the fancy ones, right? That can deep strike as long as they're within certain range. They ignore the 9-inch penalty.
Coming in the smash base for some Bullgren.
Yeah.
They also consolidate towards the characters. And then he's got the CP, which looks like he does after they drop, I think. But I'm not sure. It might be starter movement sake. Probably not after he drops them. But he can split them all in individual dudes. No.
So if he drops with the Allurus Terminators, Allurus Custodes, they don't really get through the Bullgren, do they?
No, not really.
I mean, it's swinging.
And Psychic buffed up.
Potentially. Which,
You got -1 to hit and +1 save. 3 up. 2 months.
So it looks like one of the Bullgrens just went down.
He's wounded from the turn before.
Because I've always found the way you deal with Bullgren is weight of dice. It's that class. It's an elite unit. If you shoot a las cannon at someone who's got an invuln, same deal. You kill Storm Shield characters by getting through their 2-up save, not their 3-up save. I mean, sure, you can get a lucky shot off. You can shoot one las cannon at a dude with a Storm Shield who has 6 wounds, and you can kill him in one shot. Like, sure, technically.
I like that. Those Palace tanks. Like if you're looking from units, you go fire the Palace tank at the Bullgren compared to those speeders that are firing 18 shots each. It's like you'd arc up the speeders first.
Yeah.
More casualties rather than one Palace tank. And that's not a points thing. I'm just saying it's like really good high value shooting.
I agree.
Bullgren are there.
Well, I mean, yeah, the Bullgren, I think they die to things like Stormbolters. Mass Stormbolters from Deathwatch. They don't die to your 1 or 2 plasma guns.
Yeah, Smites normally get mine.
Smites will do it. Smites kill a lot of shit. There was the game Josh Brody played in round 1 against the 4 Knights that he pretty much just killed them with Smites. That'll do it.
There was a reason why they made the rule of 3 and points increase. The chaos. What do they call it? Malefic Lords.
Yeah, I don't look. I think with the change to the smite rules, I think the points increase wasn't overly required. I still think the rule of 3 is important.
It's the it's the classic GW double fix nerf.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're getting better though.
So they're getting better.
It used to be okay. You look at guard,
No, I
and
agree.
there's actually more pages of FAQs. Like guard was FAQ'd a long time ago, and hasn't changed. There's almost as many pages of FAQ for guard than what there is pages of guard in their codex. So you pretty much don't buy a guard codex because you're wasting your time.
It's why I like the digital copies. So erratas in the at least with the ebooks or iBooks, the Apple books, when you get a codex through the on an iOS device, as they do erratas, those get put into, they just update. So when you're looking at your book, you don't need to look at erratas. You still have to look at FAQs. There's not much you can do about that because FAQs don't actually change the wording or anything. They just correct a rule. So for example, if you are playing the Iron Hands supplement and those strats that changed from like 1 CP to 2 CP and so on, if you had the Apple version of those books, then it would just update, and so you'd see it rather than having to get get all the different documents. All right.
Watching this.
So the
this
three
Custode
custodes.
Army fire.
Yep.
Literally everything at the Bulgrin, and it's just the one model that got hit.
Yeah, killed one model.
That he removed. That was it.
Yep. And we've just got some charges happening. So I think there's a 3-man squad and a character that just went in. I mean, don't forget. I mean, we've still got Trajan Valoris, and there's a couple of other characters floating around as well. So some of those should punch above their weight. But once again, I mean, we're almost at a point where those speeders can start probably going around on the sides rather than staying behind those Bulgrins and get angles on characters. Pick up a character or two.
The interesting thing is what happens with these Alaris, like early turns. Like, this is what, turn 3. So Adam's got 2 more turns after this.
Assuming that's the correct turns. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it might end the tabling for this one.
Yeah, it's potentially. We've got Adam has just lost 1 more Bulgrin through combat. So I might head over and see if I can get a better view of the specific models in play.
Yeah, so two Bulgrins down.
Yeah, so it does look like he's psychic up because he just rolled a 3 then, and he's not touching models, so up in guns.
The 4 are in range to attack.
Yep. Nice. Add more because he's probably just going to fall back at the end of this turn anyway.
So one of the Bulgrins got 2 through wounds on the 2 through on who I'm assuming is the shield captain in armor. Bulgrins get to hit the unit. All right, so 3 up saves. Boom. Passes all of them. Yeah. But he finally had some dice go back his way. Jason had 6 saves. Right. 2, by the looks of it. I didn't mean it that way.
He's just on roaming at the moment.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're just jumping in and out, man. Like, because you're not actually talking to us, you're talking to them.
Yeah, sorry, I'm asking them questions and also trying to then respond to you guys' answers. Yeah.
So it's the end of turn 2. This is the start of Adam's turn 3.
Yeah, so basically
He brought his...
they're jumping into turn 3. In that turn, what we saw was the Bulgarin pretty much just hang around, I guess is the best way of putting it. He did a reasonable punch on the Allurus Terminators. Got 6 wounds through, doing 2 damage apiece at neg 1, so 3 up saves for the Termies. But then finally some of the dice then swung back in Jason's favour, and he made all of them. And there was 2 saves on the Shield Captain in Allura's Terminator armor, and he made both of those as well. So it was a total of 8 saves that time, where there were 3 ups, and he passed every one of them. So I mean, it is a dice game, but coming back to our earlier points, the elite style lists, which hey, I've played a lot of over the years, they tend to be ones that I enjoy playing the most. They're the ones that get hurt the most when the dice don't roll average, or they don't roll average over the course of the game. It doesn't matter if you start rolling really well at the end after all your shit's dead.
Yeah, Lara's struggle for the thing is stuff like they kill really, really big stuff, but when they hit there and block, they just don't have the models to wrap things properly. So you find often not, they'll go in, decimate something, take shots to the face, go and rinse, repeat. But when you hit Bulgrin and they don't die, it becomes a bit of an issue.
Yeah, because as we can see here, as you suggested, he's just going to step back. The other thing that's hurt Jason is that with how he charged, these 3 are a unit, and the one on the left is a character. If instead the character was in the middle of those 3, which you could do, he'd be more protected. But now pretty much everything on the left-hand side of his army can shoot at the shield captain. And not have to worry with the fact that it has the
T5?
Well, I'd have to double check. He may only be T4. The Allurus shield captain. As I said, I don't have it up in front of me. Those in the chat, if you're aware of the toughness of a shield captain in Allurus armor, feel free to drop it. There we go. T5. Thank you very much, Bartosz, from the NZ40 Cabal. Yeah, sure, he's T5, but obviously those sort of characters tend to not get shot at much because they're in and around other units. Having him on the left-hand side when charging in has allowed Adam to now potentially, well, shoot him.
Well, that looks like a battle cannon right in front, so...
I think the battle cannon is the one on the left-hand side, and the Punisher is the one on the right. It's a little hard to be 100% confirmed there, but I'm fairly confident by where the turrets are sitting.
Yeah, Cabal's putting it up So essentially, it's one of those things where you go, it's a bit annoying, but I'm like,
Yeah, 7 wounds, T5, 3 up invuln, 5 up feel no pain. Yeah, 2 up, 5 up.
did Adam
2
just
up,
pick
3
them up in the shooting phase?
No. No, the model that's no, he picked up a regular custode in the shooting phase. The model that's sitting right next to the speeder is the shield captain.
2 characters. Okay, all right.
You don't have to hide.
I don't have much to say, otherwise I'd sit there.
So, looking down at let's just looking down at Rob Lane and Mark Deal with the GSC versus Necrons. Rob has done a really solid job of zoning out. The other thing that Rob had as an advantage is that all of his zoning out units have the fly keyword. So unlike what Rob was able to do in the last matchup, which was, for example, charge and not kill a truck and then wrap it, you can't do the same thing when you're playing against models with the fly keyword. So you end up charging in, killing it, or them flying away, and then you're just standing there, with it in the wind. So, unlike the last matchup, Rob, who also has 3 planes, all of them Doomsday, Doomsides, Rob has done a great job of the positioning to make sure that he doesn't, blow himself up. Haycore is one. I'm gonna say third, but it might be quarter of the NZ40 Cabal. I don't know how many of you guys there are. I think you multiply a little bit sometimes. And Bartosz is the one currently chatting as NZ40 Cabal. So we have 2 New Zealand friends, and Forge the NZ, mate. We must have a bunch of New Zealand people watching now, which is great to see. Choice, that's all I got. Yes, so Rob's doing a really good job of pushing Mark back. So it doesn't look like Mark can really engage in the same way that he was able to against the Orc player, who tried to do the same thing. If I look across to Jeremy Martino and Matt Morrisoli's game, that Bloodletter unit that deep struck down doesn't look like it's there anymore. There's not much really in Jeremy's side of the table, so it looks like he's done a good job of zoning out some of those deep strikes. Apparently none of the Kiwis have a life on a Saturday. Don't you have events of your own over there? I know at least one of them a bunch of the Aussie lads are coming over for. Battle above the Brindawines, if I can pronounce that correctly. Be good to see, and hopefully good to see some of you guys making the trip over in 2020 for the Down Under Championships. Brinda wins, apparently. Okay, close enough. Close enough is good enough. What you doing? So back to this game. We have one, I believe, one custode left, and one, and then the character. So the shield captain Allurus Terminator armor, and just one of the Allurus Custodes. Adam has gone in, I believe, done his charge, and then moved out, so he can't get punched back, which is the play that McGowan was talking about just before. And so the punchback is a large base size. So I've got a lot of people in front of me at the moment, just trying to get a good vision of what's currently in combat with those custodes. Oh, you know what it probably is? It's probably the base of the land speeder, and he's probably taking the land speeder off the base.
Yeah, he has. That's up the back, so character. It's been hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be fight when die, maybe? I'm not sure.
No, I think it was, so it looks like the Allurus Custode squad's now dropped, which is leaving the Allurus, Shield Captain Allurus Terminator armor left. And the 60mm base that's currently there, it looks to be just the base of a land speeder. So that land speeder, I'm assuming that's up here.
Yeah, the one in the middle near the dice.
I think it's further up. Looks like the one further up is the one that's not on a base. The one that's more in the center is on a base. So I'm assuming that that's the one that did the hit and run version.
And that just fell back.
Yep. So big shout out to Josh Roberts from Team England. I thought it'd be funny. I had obviously we've got myself being a Josh. We've got Mr. Josh McGowan on from Queensland. I was going through my 40k shirts and thought this one seemed appropriate. Let's bring on another Josh into the stream. So big shout out to Team England, who took out first place at the ETC, European Team Championships, in Serbia this year. We played them in the final round for the win, and we went down by just a couple of points. So that was Team Australia, just got pipped at the post. We're coming back next year with a vengeance, and sending an absolutely dominating Team Australia. Adam Camilleri, who's on stream, is on the team. Matt Morrisoli, who's on round one stream, is on the team. Josh McGowan, who is coming across the airwaves to you via Twitch, will also be on Team Australia. So, yeah. You excited, mate? Because McGowan was one of the people that we had lined up for our very first ETC team in 2012 when we were heading to Poland, and for a range of different reasons it just didn't work out. And then he's had a little family of his own, which makes, as someone who's going through that myself, makes it a little harder to do big 40k trips the same way you could when you were without kids.
The good old days.
Queensland Masters, that was a big weekend. That got messy. Flemmo actually, Flemmo got to the point where he actually started to let me get away with calling him the wrong nationality, to the point where I actually can't even remember what the right one is anymore. He's Scottish, right?
No, he's Welsh.
Welsh. Is he actually Welsh?
No, he's Scottish.
He is Scottish.
It's been Irish, it's been English.
Well, yeah, so
I don't know where we go, really.
I was calling him Irish, and we went out and I paid for some of the activities that evening of the 100% legal variety. And I was got everyone calling him Irish.
Oh, the single mum fund.
The which one?
Single mum fund.
I haven't heard that one. No, when we went out on the town with the bubble bath. Anyway, I digress. But that's what you come here for. Me talking shit. NZ40 Cabal wants to know how many strip clubs are in Gosford. So I believe Gosford is where the ATC ANZ Team Championships is being held in May 2020. In answer to the question, I do not know. I'm sure a Google search will sort you out though, mate. If you're on a shared computer, can I recommend incognito mode? Just saying.
Looks like the Shield captain's arced up in his face and deleted everyone.
He's just gone on
Shield
blender
captain
mode.
things.
He's just gone on blender mode. Shield captains actually do get through. Custodes actually do get through Horde a lot quicker than you'd expect.
I'll just pick up some moisturising cream, you'll be fine.
You talking to Bartosz? Or to me? What's this about moisturising cream? Do I want to know? Anyway.
Crocodiles.
Oh, the crocodiles. Yeah. I'm like, that's a very odd statement. So I think it's fair to say after the first turn or two of absolutely abysmal dice rolling of Jason, I mean, he didn't do anything specifically wrong. He just rolled bad. And it's really hard, once again, when you're an elite-style army, if you've got 3-up saves to make and you roll a lot of ones, your models go away. It's just the way it is.
With Objective 1, what is that piece of terrain? Is it up off the floor? Is it a fence? What is it?
It's pretty much flat. It's just flat.
Can be seen.
Oh, definitely. 100% can be seen.
By everything.
Yep. So that piece would be less than... that's less than an inch thick MDF by the looks of it, would be my guess. So the piece on the left-hand side, you see all the ruins. All the ruins are on a MDF piece that's slightly bigger than their ruins. And those are roughly half an inch thick. The piece that, the spot on Objective 1 has the same, effectively this, it's as if that ruin has been completely obliterated. So there's a little wall there, which is a little hard to see, but it's, let me bring it. There's a tiny little wall here, but that's a very open space. So yeah, there's he's not hiding, but so at the moment there are some custodes on Objective. I believe there's some custodes on Objective 5, which are here. Some on Objective 1, and there might be some even hiding over here in the bottom right-hand corner. So I mean, it's not as dire. It's not great. I know the audio is a little shoddy at the moment when I'm going roaming for some reason. It wasn't before, but it is now. I'll give it another go just to make sure I'm...
I think I've seen a picture of this one Shield captain going around in a semicircle. I can't place it though.
No, rendition.
Sure.
All right, so counting up or down, 5 wins left? Yeah. Yeah, so the shield captain just demolished a whole bunch of guardsmen and got a bunch of Bulgrin right in his face, and he has 5 wounds left. Then, on objective, so there was a unit of 3 on each, pretty much of the objectives, except objective 1, which might be 1 regular character. 2 3-man, 1, and the remainder of a 3-man squad. So it's quite it's one of those things that bit there left when you consider how hard they are to budge. Did you get that? Fuck!
Oh, we heard that clear. It's the way.
Always the way.
Any call?
Yeah, a little frustrating on the Discord there, not coming through nicely. It's funny because you come through pretty much loud and clear via Discord, so I'm not sure why when I go walking now this afternoon it's been so rubbish. But oh well. Yeah. So
with that, we're looking at the Talan. So what Adam's just done there, for the people that have just joined in and whatnot, he's moved and then moved again, so he can get line of sight on the 3 guys in the building, and he can still grinding a van. So he still fires everything twice. So that's highly mobile gun platforms, the Talan.
Yep,
Thanks, man.
and he's just taking.
He can also shoot and then move back into cover as well.
That's the Talan.
Lehman Russell's there.
Yeah. What do they call?
Or tank commander.
What do they call? It's not doctrines. What do they call? Regiments. Regiment.
Yeah, that's a regiment
Ability.
Yeah, it's a tank order.
Yeah. So at least
they don't suffer any penalties for moving and firing.
Solid. So 2 of those custodes went down, which means I think there's still 1 left under that ruin. And so that leaves effectively one dude on objective 5, 3 dudes hiding behind a ruin on I don't know the number of the objective, but the bottom right-hand corner. We've got Valurus on objective 1, the banner on objective 1, and I think a remainder of a custodian guard squad on objective 1. So three different units there. And then, as we know, we've got the Allura Shield Captain just deep in the lines of the guard, with a little V shape of the Bulgrin. Be interesting to see what Adam's plan is here on whether or not he's going to use the Bulgrin. Well, he's in a position where he has to charge because otherwise the other guy would just do a heroic intervene. So he may as well charge at that point, right? I thought he might have tried to just do a move block if he could get away with it. It's a little hard.
No, he's definitely going to charge because it's good to do the movement, but it's he did the right thing by he's got him down to 2 wounds. So I think he had 5, didn't he? Which means that he had to fail 3 from the Bulgrin to die. Whereas now he's got him down to fail a save.
Yep.
With 18 odd attacks. The odds are in his favour. Now that I've said that, I've just jinxed at him.
I'll have
All right,
to.
Diff, I'm going to have to love you and leave you. It's been fantastic. Thank you very much for all the viewers. But I'm going to go get the wifey from work.
Friend. Really appreciate it. Big round of applause for Mr. Josh McGowan. I'm sure everyone in the stream chat appreciate you joining us on this Saturday. Are we getting you tomorrow, or are you? All right, dude.
Yeah, should be able to.
Sick. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later on tonight. But thanks heaps, guys. Enjoy your afternoon. Thanks for tuning in.
All right. So you're stuck with me, guys. There's a good chance Adam's going to probably finish this game relatively soon. There's not a whole lot left. So Adam's gone in with what I'm assuming is Samael or a Talon Master, but it's probably Samael. He's going to swing with him first, no doubt, because then he has the ability of then effectively hitting and running. I think he's got enough CP to do that again. All right. Actually, it may have been the other way around there, but either way, we'll see how this goes. Streamlabs more. What? Streamlabs more for this game. Got a score, Diffie. I'll have to chase that up because they're meant to be entering their scores, and of all people at this event, Mr. Adam Camilleri should know this by now. I'm going to go chase out that score, so I'm going to try one of these new features. I'm not sure how long it's going to last, but just so it's not dead air. I'll be right back. So I guess that music stopped after some point. So it's a relatively it's a reasonably close game. So basically the way the missions work, for those that have joined a little late in the mix, the Eternal War, Maelstrom, and Kill Point variants are similar to the ETC, but then very different at the same time. How, you might ask? Thank you very much, Pezzy, for following. So basically the way it works is there is a draft process, which I'm going to completely skip over and come back to decide what mission you're playing each round with your opponent. But once it's been decided, there is an Eternal War, a Maelstrom of War, and there is a Kill Point component. All three of them use a differential option, capping at 9. So unlike those that are familiar with ETC, where it caps at 6, everything is being capped at 9, and for all three mission types. So Maelstrom of War, the person with the highest number of Maelstrom points subtracts their opponent's Maelstrom points and they get that many points capped at 9. So right now, I can't remember the exact numbers, but the Eternal War and Maelstrom's around the wrong way, but Adam's on like 15 Maelstrom-ish to Jason, who's on 10. So you'll notice that there's 5 currently under that little Eternal War spot, but effectively that's the Maelstrom points. They are equal on Eternal War, and Adam is 3 points ahead on kill points, which has given Adam a 9-1 victory point. They both have first strike. So that is the scoring mechanism. It allows for all 3 of the mission components to have the same equal weighting. So it doesn't matter how far you blow out in one space. If you 30 Maelstrom points to 1, it's still only 9 points. Regarding the actual way of determining the mission that you're playing, there are 3 deployments, 3 Eternal Wars, and 3 Maelstrom objectives. And you roll the dice, and depending on what you rolled, you are either player 1 or player 2. Player 1 removes 1 of the 3 deployments from the pool. Player 2 removes 1 of the Eternal Wars. Player 1 removes the Maelstrom of War. Then player 2 removes 1 of the deployments, leaving 1 left. Player 1 removes 1 of the Eternal Wars, leaving 1 left. And player 2 removes 1 of the Maelstrom of Wars, leaving 1 left. So one of the Eternal Wars, for example, is progressive scoring. If your opponent is very good at progressive scoring, then when it's your turn to remove an Eternal War, you probably want to remove that one. There is Dawn of War, Hammer and Anvil, and Search and Destroy are the 3 deployments. If you don't like one of those, when you get a choice to remove a deployment, you get rid of the one you don't like. You should end up, in theory, with a more balanced mission for your opponent, because in both cases, you removed the mission or deployment that overly favors your opponent. So you should end up with a bit more of a midfield kind of approach. George, yeah, so the Telemann died the very first turn, and the 2 Palace died, I think, by the end of turn 2. It went down real quick. Custodes have very little left. There's a single Custode on objective 5 in the bottom left-hand corner. There is 3 Custodes models on objective in the center. One's just gone down. And there's a 3-man squad in the bottom right-hand corner. It's progressive scoring, and so as a result, he's had to leave an entire 3-man of Custodian Guard on that bottom right-hand corner objective, whereas Adam's been able to leave things like tanks that can shoot from range, or 10-man Guardsman squads and things like that, rather than having to waste an entire unit to deal with it. George, everything's on the table, and everything's almost dead. Trajan is currently sitting on objective 1. Trajan Valaris is currently sitting on objective 1, I believe, with the banner guy next to him. And yeah, it is pretty dire for the Custodes. It is turn 4. Actually, I think it might be the bottom of turn 5. It is likely to end. No, you know what? It won't end in the tabling, because I don't see Adam budging the unit in the bottom right-hand corner anytime soon. But it's still going to be a big win to Adam. He's currently on a 9-1 victory points. So the way ETC victory point style works, once again, overly complicated without a system that does it for you, but Down Under Pairings does all the maths and works all that stuff out for you. But basically, you take the amount of victory points you got, less your opponent's. So 9 less 1 means 8 is on 8. Divide that by 2, rounding up. So that would be a 4. And then you start on a 10 all draw each, and you plus or minus that differential. So in this example, if the game was to end right now, that is a 14-6. Your score and your opponent's score will always equal 20. Redbeard is Pete Platel. He is I'm trying to remember all the years. He was on the Australian ETC team in 2014 when it was in Serbia. He was in the 2018 team when it was in wherever it was in 2018. He captained. That was 2016. 2018, 2019, he captained the Australian team to its best result to date, and will be coaching the team in 2020, where we're going to win it. Team Australia is just going to take out the gold, and there ain't nothing you guys can do about it. I think George and Bartosz, who's NZ40 Cabal, I probably agree. I think Custodes, on the most part, have lost a lot of their teeth. The only other real option you've got is those stupid flyers. Those stupid Forge World flyers. Outside that, I think they just don't really compete in the pointy end. They can go, well, quite clearly they can go 2 wins, only dropping a couple points. Those $650 flyers. Yeah, and is that New? That'd be Queensland. That'd be dollary dues, wouldn't it? Compared to what New Zealand probably plays, which is even worse. Worst thing Forge World ever did was do regional-based pricing. It was an interesting little test. It was cheaper for one of my, I think it was Mike Bask from Objective Secured, did the math on a, which of the Titans? Not a Warhound Titan. The super big one. Warlord Titan? I only go with Warlord Titan, and someone in the chat can correct me because I probably got it wrong. The stupid big one, this big off the table. It was cheaper to literally get on a plane and fly to England, drive from Heathrow to Warhammer World, buy one in pounds, drive back to the airport, and fly home. It was cheaper. Insane. But what are you going to do? Flyer is 730 New Zealand dollars before postage. That is messed up. All right, so at the moment you've got Trajan Valuris and the Vexilla Magnifica in the center of the table. 3 Custodes on the bottom right-hand side. And as I said, there's a whole bunch of Adam's army bearing down on the bottom left-hand corner on one lone custodian chilling in there. I'm not touching that one, George. All right, so it's pretty much at this point, Jason unfortunately doesn't really have anything left in his army to what's the word I'm looking for? Engage against Adam. The banner, the Vexilla Magnifica just went down, which pretty much just leaves Trajan Valuris, a unit of 3 custodians, and as I said, I believe the person in the bottom left-hand corner is gone. Love your work, George. Love your work. So I'm trying to take a look over to the table with Matt Morrisoli versus Jeremy Marigold Martino to get an idea of how it's going. But Matt's ahead.
Matt keeps drawing 2 cards he can score, and Jeremy keeps getting 3.
So at this stage, according to Matt the Plague Hulk Morrisoli, what are we going to go with now? Matt the Plague Hulk Betrayer Morrisoli, who is a big fanboy of Khan the Betrayer now, is slightly, he's looking at probably getting a small win, according to him. Is Jeremy trying to distract him with his singing? The sultry tones of Jeremy. I should get Jeremy and a guitar on here. No, George. They've been on the same team now for a while. I'm hoping all's good. I'm hoping all's good. They'll be fine. They got drunk together in Serbia when Team Australia did quite well, and I think buried the hatchet. They are very passionate individuals. That is a fair statement. I'll give you that. We're an hour 45 into the game, and there's a few games that's starting to actually wrap up. It's getting that pointy end of the day. I think a few people might be making some mistakes that end up costing them. Yeah, good call there, Pete. Everybody loves everybody on Team Australia. And I've just seen the handshake between Rob and Mark. To Rob? Yeah. Rob was able to zone out Mark pretty much what we were talking about at the end of last stream. And as a result, they've just called it 20-zip to Rob. So you will be seeing Necrons on top table, round 4, tomorrow morning. They have not dropped a battle point. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Rob is cleaning house. If I was just to let's bring up Rob's stats. So Rob Lane is prior to this weekend, so not including this weekend's games, is on a 2-win winning streak. His largest winning streak is 7 games straight. He's tabled 16 of his opponents. This will be his 17th. He has a 53% win ratio. And of the games that we know who went first or second, his ratios are a little higher. So some of those losses we don't actually know who went first, which messes up with our numbers. And his recent podiums consist of EastCon 2019, Ascension 2019, he came 3rd, and the Black Crusade, The War 2019, he came 3rd. He's got 54 games under his belt with Necrons with a 57% win ratio, 16 games with Knights at a 69% win ratio, and a couple of games of Adeptus Custodes. Whenever I see someone who's just got a couple of games, what that says to me is they played one tournament and dropped out after the first couple of rounds. His most common faction he's played against is Knights, where he's actually got not a great win ratio against. And then he's got plenty of games under his belt of Guard and Tau. That is Robert Lane. So it looks like they're just counting up some points here. But as I said, I think at this point, Trajan's gone down. I believe the single custode that was in the bottom left has gone down, which leaves 3 custodes in the bottom right-hand corner just holding that objective. This is progressive scoring, and they'll be getting one. He'll be getting 1 point each turn, maybe 2 points. I think that's technically outside the deployment zone. George, I 100% agree. I would. I saw this. This is what happened in round 1. I would say on paper, it's a bit tricky. I think on paper, Kieran Howard's list. Maybe not in a 1-on-1 matchup, but no, Kieran Howard's list is a very strong list, and he played against Matt Morrisoli with his list, which is also quite strong. Matt has played his list, albeit tweaked a bit, over and over and over and over again, whereas Kieran, who has played 27 tournaments this year, has changed lists quite a lot. So as a result, you don't get the reps in with the one archetype, the one list, and so where you would make a mistake, learn from it, and not make that mistake again. If you keep changing your list, you don't get to learn from that because you then change your list and then you'll find new mistakes to make. What is going on in the chat? All she wrote.
I really need to take a leak, but we're just going to be wrapping up here, aren't we?
Yeah, probably.
Hello, everybody. That was a sloppy jalopy, but I was just having a good time. Did anybody tear me apart for being sloppy?
No?
Good, because I was. That last turn, I said, what would be more fun? If I shoot him dead with these 2 tanks and Samuel, or do I charge him with the Bulgrin? He's like, if I charge him with Bulgrin for sure. I'm like, all right, nice. And then I rolled, and I got a 5, and it was a 6-inch charge. And he's like, too bad. I was like, fair call, mate, fair call. I was already at 20, but I didn't care. It was just going to be a bit of fun.
So, custodes. We mentioned a little bit over this game, and we mentioned we had a good chat with Mark in his comparison to playing GSE versus custodes. The one thing that you get with an elite style army is it's very swingy, and if you roll bad, things can go bad real quick.
Yeah.
And just because your dice then even themselves out, if you're too far down the trash can because you've lost too many units, rolling good doesn't help anymore. It means you might not be dying, but yeah.
A question from Valerie. That is from the special character Primaris Psyker. She comes with her own power for +1 to hit. With CP usage, I got that off every single turn on that Relic Battle Cannon, and he was ferocious. That's how I killed the Talon on turn 1. So I was hitting him on 3s instead of 4s because the -1 hit banner.
Yep. So for those playing at home, that is a Radia Medallion.
40 points.
40 points.
She's a steal for guard, man. She's absolute guard, and she packs a smite as well. I can put that on my Bulgrin if against Plague Bearers, which is what I did last turn.
Yep.
Last game. So they go in hit on 2s, it becomes 3s against the Plague Bearers, and they just smash right in. And then, or alternatively, I can chuck it on that Relic Battle Cannon or the Punisher, depending. So it's got 3 good targets for it. It's really good.
Yeah, that's a solid effort.
The other one is the Scions. +1 hit on the Scions, they explode on 5s for extra attacks, and all of a sudden they can't overheat because it's +1 and never a 1s.
So it's so which book does the Aradia Medallion come from?
Blackstone Fortress.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
hence I haven't bought the model because it's $180 for that model because you have to buy the whole box.
You can sell the rest though. And there's eBay.
Who can be ballsed when
eBay.
Dean lets me just use a regular Primaris Psyker because he's a nice guy, gosh. So what do you guys think of the game? It wasn't much of one, unfortunately.
I think, look, it was interesting to talk through some of the core concepts of elite style armies and where things can go bad.
Yeah.
But on the most part, it was really hard to. The game was quick.
It was very quick. Yeah. Look, if my opponent watches this back, the only thing I think he did incorrectly was that he should have deployed everything he had in that big ruin he had to the left, and also he chose that side of the board, which I think was a mistake. My side of the board was much better for his army, because there was so many places for him to hide and basically nowhere for me to hide on the other side. But see, he deployed it all around objective 1, would have been much better off in objective 5 than one to the left of that.
I agree. The fact that objective 1 was just in the open, and he's not a shooting army,
No, he's
so
not.
I mean he's got a couple. Sorry, he does have a couple of
He's got
units that can shoot.
some keystone assets. But my army picks them up. Well, I picked up his anti-tank really way too easily.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think I was going to kill a Talon on turn 1.
No.
I had no idea. I was like, oh yeah, it's Talon. It's probably pretty tough. 12 wounds from the relic battle cannon, and then Sammy would just make him take 3-up saves, ruining on 5s, 3-ups, and he has 3-up armors. I just took the last 2 off. The same with the Palace Grav tanks. They've only got 8 wounds. They got a 5-up invuln. The Scions picked them up really, really easily. Because only need 4 to go through. I've got 9 shots. Yeah, with the plasmas. Everything came up Millhouse.
Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Everything is.
So
we got any updates on the other games? So I know Rob Lane got a 20.
yeah, Rob Lane got up. We talked a little bit about that and how he was able to manage to zone off the Genestealer cult in a way that the Orc player didn't, and that was making sure that instead of having an 18-inch gap between your screen lanes. You need to effectively only have 6 or 7 inch gaps.
Yeah, stop
the flamers dropping in. And Rob was very good at that. In addition, Rob's screen units at the very front all had the fly keyword.
Of course.
So
he has the Tomb Blades, he has the
Doomsday
Arcs,
Arcs, and then he has the actual flyers. It's a different environment. He couldn't wrap anything, and so that was a 20 zip.
Well done, Rob.
So Rob will be on stream round 1 because he's going to drop the battle point.
Shit.
Sorry, round 4 I should say.
Yeah.
And on table 3 we have Jeremy Marigold Martina versus Matt the Plague Hulk Betrayer Morosoli.
Plague Hulk Betrayer. Where did the Betrayer come from?
He wants to be called Khan the Betrayer now.
Oh, of course. Okay, so we're melding. It's a very long bow to string.
Yeah.
We pulled that all the way back for the release.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you reckon it deserves
Probably does. Could you put both at the same time? Can you press both exactly at the same time?
That's a very good question. Can I?
Yeah, perfect.
There we go.
That's exactly what it is. So probably won't have me on first next. Well, because... Well, actually, Rob hasn't been on yet. So
no, he hasn't. So Rob will be on.
But if you put me on next and I win, that means you have to put me on 3 times, which is no bueno.
Look, I'll make the call tomorrow. That's easy enough. As said, though, Morosoli and Marigold, it's pretty tight. But Morosoli reckons that it'll be a couple points in his favour.
It should be. Like, Jeremy has the right list to go against him, with the exception he doesn't have any chaff to soak smites. He has nothing to pick up the smites apart from Deathwatch bodies, which is just a bad time.
So, question from Bartosz from NZ40 Cabal. How would you have handled the Allurus Termes deep striking 3 inches from his tanks?
Well, so they did. They deep struck 3 inches from my Bullgrin. They
Yep.
made the charge, which is as close as they could get. I had them zoned out on the left with a unit of guardsmen. I had them zoned out in front with a Bullgrin, and we measured behind, and he couldn't quite make it. Naturally, it would have been a 9 from behind. But so he would have had to have exposed his Vexilla a lot earlier.
Yep.
Which I probably would have gobbled him up with the Talon Masters. I would have just shot at Sammy, picked him up, and jumped back. But look, if the Alaris made it to the tanks, I was actually in trouble. The Alaris are actually really good. He came down, he spent 2 CP to target characters, and had he positioned a little bit better, I'm not quite sure if he was quite savvy to it, but he should have been able to pick up the Astropath and the Priest. He failed to pick up the Priest because he was out of range with the actual guns.
Yep.
He only had he only had the actual guns, or he didn't have one of his guns, either the ballistas or the gunshots. But if he had a position better, he definitely picks up that. And do you know how easy it is for Alaris to kill an Astropath? 3 wound, no save Astropath? Pretty easy. So if he would have been in range of there, would have been bang, bang, there goes my +1 save on my Bullgrin. All of a sudden, they're a lot easier without the 3+ invulnerable save.
Yep.
Because he went in and he still killed 2 with the Alaris. Without the 3+ invuln, he probably pounds a lot more. Yeah, sick.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to probably sign out, and we will be will be with you for 2 games tomorrow, being round 4 and round 5, to crown the Victorian 40k Masters. Grenades and bolters equals dead guard dude.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
If you got rid of the palace and took 6 Aluris,
If that was
Adam,
6 Alaris
you'd be in
bombing into
trouble.
me instead of just 3, different game, yeah. Different game. Yeah.
But it's a different list then. Like, I mean,
It's drastically different.
I mean, you sure. You know what? If
If you take a different list, it's a different game.
Yeah, if he was playing demons, you'd play it differently
You'd
as
be
well.
in trouble, Adam.
So yeah, I think it is tricky. It is tricky sometimes. Obviously, there are minor tweaks you can talk about with lists to potentially benefit a specific matchup. But it comes down to what's he regularly playing against, what's he comfortable with.
Well, he said he's an AOS player. He's just nearly new to 40k.
Yeah, I did see that. He was when I brought up his stats profile, I saw that he has a better win ratio in AOS.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, fun little fact.
What was the
You want to bring it up?
Yeah, I want to look at the win loss. What was it?
All right,
yeah.
let me
especially after I went first. For those who don't know, I've dropped 1 game in Down Under Pairings going first. And that was to Lee Abbey and Menzo when he was playing the broke-ass jank, triple repulsor, iron-stoned everything.
All right, so we'll take a look at Adam's stats profile.
Oh, no, I mean versus him. What was the win-loss?
Oh, you want to look at his profile?
No, I was compared. Do you know how to get the pie charts for who's going to win, who's going to lose?
Oh, yeah, you didn't ask that.
Predictor,
I'll get
sorry,
that. There we go. Predictor.
Wow. There you go.
Minor advantage to Adam, mainly because the guard and then custodes have a very down the line win rate, and head to head they've got exactly a 50-50 chance. They've played 18 and won 9 each.
There you go.
And your win ratio is 54.3 and his is 45.7. So you do get the slight advantage. That basically that's where you're getting the advantage. And then, as I said, so Jason has a win ratio of 67% in 40k, but an 80% win ratio in Age of Sigmar.
Nice. Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
So
albeit there's only 5 games in Age of
Okay,
Sigmar for his profile.
But he's clubbing steals over there.
Well, I don't know about that.
I am going to go and get hydrated and go to the bathroom. Are we going to sign off?
Yeah, we're going to sign off. So once again, big thank you for all the Down Under Network patrons that without your support we would not be where we are today.
Yep.
So big thank you, and we're going to say peace.